What's up, brothers? Welcome back. This is your host, Isaiah Nenny. This is the GameTime Gazette, your one-stop shop for all things sports news, sports related, everything and more. We're in for a good one. We're back Wednesday, as I said. This week, we'll just run it out the week. Since I wasn't even with you guys for the last 2 days last week, I said, you know what? I'll run out this week before we get into that new schedule next week. So, let's get excited. Let's get excited. This is a fun week of sports that is coming up for us. We got UFC 300 on Saturday that we will be previewing sometime this week. NBA is ending on the 14th, so that's a few days away. NHL is ending a few days away as well. A few teams that we said last night, the Kings needed to clinch, lost to Anaheim. Who else lost? The Stars needed to clinch, they won. The Predators needed a point to clinch, they got the point to clinch. When OT went with the Jets. But a lot of things happened there in the NHL as well. NBA, Warriors beat up the Lakers. I mean, just three after three from Clay and Curry. I kind of felt it going into the game. It was going to be a Splash Brother game. After you see a stat where it's like, Splash Brothers are the first duo to make 253s together in a season, and no other duo has done it not once. I knew they were just going to have a game where they just go off. They needed it as well. Just a game and a half, or a game back or a half game back from the Lakers, so they're right there. Creeping in and about to get right to them. It's all about seeding at this point, especially for those bottom tier teams. The top tier teams, obviously still about seeding, but for them, they're a little bit more perched up, a little bit more comfortable. They got home court advantage, right? So the first top 5 teams got home court advantage. Top 4, sorry. So looking at this, we're just going to get going with the fastest 180 minutes. Imagine if it was 80 minutes. The fastest 180 seconds, and the clock starts now. All right, Austin Matthews last night reached 66 goals, and he broke the salary capped era record of goals. 4 games still to reach 70. He's doing that. He's on that otherworldly pace. We know last season he got 60. Austin Matthews, for me, it's just, gotta replicate this in the playoffs again. We seen them do this last year, or Austin Matthews do this last year with the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs were really good last year, right? Got to the playoffs, able to finally get out the first round, and then got to the Florida Panthers in the second round. And then, just the goal scoring just was nowhere to be found. That grittiness, that grind, that dog in them was nowhere to be found. So, gonna be interesting to see if they find that this year. Austin Matthews, obviously, that's the big question with the Maple Leafs that's been happening. It's like the Maple Leafs are like the Cowboys for the NHL. Like, are they going to be able to do it? Okay, cool. Then you got Alex Ovechkin. He's still outrunning Father Time. Broke another record last night, most goals for a left winger in NHL history, as well as the most seasons with 30 goals in a season, passing Mike Grayther with 18. I mean, just incredible. Just continues to defy the odds. 38 years old and still 30 goals up. I mean, that's crazy. It took him a little bit this year, but he still did it. Hey, could you? That's crazy, man. It's an insane pace. It's just, how many years he still got left in the tank, something to be seen, but his pace is otherworldly. NHL Hall of Fame. No question about it. One of the best goal scorers ever. Raptors end off the worst season in franchise history at home. The second worst season of franchise history at home, with a loss to the Pacers, 140-116. It hasn't been a pretty season for the Raptors. Second worst ever home season. 14-27 was the home record. The only other record that was worse than that was the 1997-98 season, when the Raptors went 16-66 overall, and they went 9-32 at home. Even the Tampa COVID season, they won 16 games. So this season was really one of the worst ones we've ever seen in Raptors history at home. Overall, it's really just been bad. So if you were thinking, hey, this is, this just feels like, never happened before. It really has. For a lot of us, we weren't even alive the last time it happened. Me included. I wasn't alive the last time it happened in 97, 98. tanking. That's what tanking is. It's sad, but it's true. And, hopefully at the end of the day, the Raptors are able to get through this hurdle. We've seen RJ Barrett quickly, Grady Dick, all of those guys, Javon Freeman Liberty, all of those guys arose to the occasion. Let's see if they carry it on to next season, because obviously this season's a dud. And let's hope for the best in the draft lottery, as the time is running out on me as I'm hearing it. And then Tara VanDerveer, coach of Stanford, head coach of Stanford women, who coached for 38 seasons and over 1,200 victories, has retired. She called it quits. It's been 38 something years, 38 seasons, right? So it's been a multitude of time, a really long part of, her whole adult life just spent, coaching Stanford women. Really, really legendary coach. Props up to you, head coach Tara VanDerveer. Tara VanDerveer, sorry. And just, off onto the sunset. They weren't able to get it done with Stanford this year. Obviously had Cameron Brink, had some great players, but obviously not able to get it done. Had other great teams. Women's game still rising. Great on that. And last but not least, the Nigerian women's soccer team was able to qualify to the Olympics, beating South Africa 1-0. Had to add that in. It was a great game. I was watching it, obviously a Nigerian, and that is your fastest 180. It wasn't that fast today, but we got it done as well, didn't we? As well as fastest 180. With the new schedule change, I wanted to add in another new segment called Wild Takes Wednesday, where I just, I throw out my wildest take. And this isn't, per se has to be the wildest take, because today's take, in my opinion, isn't that wild. And today's take, in my opinion, probably might happen. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it's not even just a wild hot take. It's something that I feel it in my bones that it might happen. But that's the thing about the wild take Wednesdays, right? That it doesn't have to be, this absurd thing that I'm saying. It's just something that I feel like the general public will not agree with me, even though there's some of you that will probably hear me and come, yeah, I see that happening too. The general public probably comes, nah, you're tripping. But hear me out on this one today. Maybe the general public hears me out on this one today and agrees with me. Wild Takes Wednesday starting now.
That's crazy.
Wild Takes Wednesday. Take one.
Boom. All right. You got Bucks and Celtics first round exits. That is my wild take of this week. I don't think the Bucks and Celtics, we obviously seen them play against each other last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo left the game with I think it was a left hamstring sprain. Obviously, you hope that he's fine and all of that. But even if they are healthy, both the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, to me, I firmly believe that they are first round exits. And now you're asking yourself, why, Isaiah? Why you saying a team like the Boston Celtics, who's won 60 plus games this season, a team like the Bucks, who has a Giannis Antetokounmpo, a Damian Lillard, why do you think they're first round exit? Well, let me answer that question for you. For me, I see the Bucks and the Celtics as a vulnerable team, a team that can get into their head, into their mental, and then when things aren't going correct, they'll be able to crumble. Obviously, in the NBA, it's very different than other sports where you got a 7-game series, where it's like, if the team is better than you, like if you're better than that team, it's hard to beat someone 4 times than the team that you're better than. You know what I'm saying? That's what GOATs do, where they beat other teams or they're better. That's another conversation. But at the end of the day, it's a hard thing to do all right, like let's look at the possible opponents that the Bucks and Celtics would be able to verse. So we're looking at the Heat. We're looking at the Sixers. We're looking at the Pacers. We're looking at, outside chance, but still in it because of the play-in Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. And for me, a lot of people are saying the Sixers aren't a real 7th seed, which is true. Obviously, they lost Embiid for a long period of time. Losing a big man like that would obviously damage, your record. You've seen how they crumbled a little bit. That whole period where they're trying to like find a new identity with Maxey, and Maxey not really being ready to be thrust into that identity and opportunity, trying to, do things a different way. Obviously, it doesn't work right. When you have the number one guy there, everybody knows their role, this and that. Plays different, especially with the way the pace MVP pace that Embiid was playing at the beginning of the season. I truly believe that, they aren't a 7th seed as well. The Miami Heat, we seen them do what they did last year, obviously defying the odds. You can never count the Miami Heat out. They beat the Bucks last year in the first round. So you know what? In my opinion, this isn't even a wild take. They beat the Bucks in 5 games. They beat the Bucks in 5 games. So in my opinion, the Bucks weren't injured. Go check the stats. Go check the lineups. The Bucks were not injured. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jrue Holiday was on the floor. I believe Chris Middleton was even on the floor too. Did he play trash? Yeah, he did. But doesn't mean they were injured. And at the end of the day, you can't count the Miami Heat out. We've seen Jimmy Buckets, playoff Jimmy, really do the impossible with the Miami Heat's taken. All right, Bam Adebayo All-Star, Tyler Hero All-Star caliber, but not All-Star. And you got, obviously, all the other undrafted guys and bringing them to the finals. Can't count them out. Can't count them out. Who else I said? I said the Pacers. Pacers have a great team. Got a great tandem in Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. And even though I do think that their defense takes them out of the equation a little bit against a team like the Bucks and the Celtics, where they really can't defend the Bucks and the Celtics, it really just, especially like a man like Giannis Antetokounmpo, even we've seen Kristaps Porzingis work up the Pacers this year. So for them, okay, I understand. It would be a wild take to say the Pacers are going to beat the Bucks and the Celtics, but it can happen. Still got Pascal Siakam there. He's beaten Giannis Antetokounmpo before. You know what I'm saying? So, but end of the day, more to my reasoning and less to the teams that they could possibly face. First start with the Bucks. Ever since they got a Doc Rivers, they've set themselves up for this opportunity to happen. They've set themselves up for the biggest disappointment in happening and waiting. They've set themselves up for it. Switching coaches mid-season. Obviously, we've seen the record of of Doc Rivers, and we've seen the record that his predecessor before him had, and we've seen that before Doc Rivers they were 36-13, something like that. After Doc Rivers, with Doc Rivers, they're like 15-16. I think with the win last night, they're 16-16. It's been disappointing. It's been a 500 team, middling. Their defense, has improved. Yes, but at the end of the day, you have Damian Lillard. Like, your defense is still going to be a vulnerability with him on the floor, bro. He's small. He's not that great of a defender. Like, you took that is what the trade was for. That's what I thought. Like, when the Bucks organization did that trade, I thought they were under the impression that they knew that they were going to suffer defensively. They didn't go out and get a PJ Tucker. They didn't go out and get one of those defensive guys that will really supplement and help out defensively, knowing that you got Damian Lillard up in your backcourt being a defensive liability. And at the end of the day, they fired Adrian Griffin for it. He was a scapegoat. Okay, cool. He was a scapegoat for their defense, even though their record was great. Their team was playing well. Bringing Doc Rivers and to a system and to a way this team has played, it just hasn't been, encouraging. You don't see them making any improvements from Adrian Griffin's time to Doc Rivers' time. Other than defensively, they decreased offensively. And in my opinion, how are they going to beat I'm not even talking about Boston Celtics. I'm even talking about a 7th seed Philadelphia 76ers when they're defending you well and you're not able to get those shots off that you were able to properly. Like I just don't see it. It's been flawed a little bit, and the organization is to blame for this. For the Milwaukee Bucks, at the end of the day, making a switch like that in the middle of the season is all cool and well. That's your decision to make. They're the organization. They said that Adrian Griffin, even the players don't feel it. Okay, cool. They could be better, striving for better. But they went to go get Doc Rivers. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me, and I don't want to even name out the stats because we all know it. Like, we all know Doc Rivers has only won one chip, and he's living off that 2008 championship. He's lost multiple first-round series. He's lost multiple game sevens. He's had multiple disappointing playoff runs with multiple great teams. We're talking the Clippers. We're talking even the Celtics of old. We're talking, the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers. And how poetic would it be that they match up in the first round and the Philadelphia 76ers are the one to beat them out? Now I'm saying it. You're listening to it. Tell me that it's not like it doesn't make sense. Tell me that you don't see the Philadelphia 76ers taking out the Milwaukee Bucks 2-7 first round. Wild take? I don't think so. And then for the Boston Celtics, right? I added the Boston Celtics in there because, you needed a little bit of wild take ability. Obviously the Bucks, in my opinion, the Bucks isn't that wild of a take to get out in the first round. But the Celtics, it's a little wild. They've played really well. They've won 60 plus games. They should, whoever they get in the first round, the Heat, the Pacers, who else we got there? The Hawks, the Bulls, whoever they get in the first round. They should not have problems getting through. But if they do, it's because of their inability to have it all. I mean, we've seen they only have 16 losses. So granted, this isn't a lot to go off of when we're talking about their bad moments. Even in their wins, they do have bad moments, though, sometimes. I'm not going to lie, where, man, the offensive flow isn't there. They're not like flowed in, and in the playoffs where every single possession is way more meticulous, way more slowed down. I mean, last year we seen the Jaylen Brown and he has no left hand. And I mean, that's something that gets exposed only in the playoffs. We didn't see that in the regular season. In the playoffs, it got exposed because it got slowed down, way more meticulous. I mean, everybody cared. Everybody said, hey, this game matters. Every game mattered. Right? So it's every single play matters. For a Boston Celtics team that has, yes, improved, you've gotten Drew Holiday, you've gotten Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White has taken a step. But still, you still see that inability to have that constant flow despite them winning 60-plus games. And for me, though, I still do see them making it through the first round. Disclaimer, I had to add them here because they had to be a little bit of a wild take. But for me, I'm not going to lie to you, a second round, I mean, if they match up with the Heat first round, watch out for that. Watch out for that because they could get knocked out there. Second rounders, well, everybody's saying the East is weak, but man, the Celtics are going to have such a target in their back. They've won so much games this season. They made it to the so far in the playoffs last season, the conference finals the year before that. Like, this is, everybody's coming at them. And I truly do believe if they are not 100% locked in that they'll be got. It is a 7-game series, but hey, man, that mental aspect of it, when that team gets one, the Celtics, they don't lock in. You hear about when they versed Steph Curry in the finals, and Steph said, hey, enjoy this win. This is your last one. I mean, what are we even talking about, bro? Mentally, they didn't lock in, So, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Obviously, with the Bucks, I'm sounding way more confident because as soon as you talk about it a little bit more, you break it down. You break down the numbers. You break down the scenarios. It just makes a lot of sense. The poeticness of, man, the organization deserves to get that type of disappointment. Not only did they fire a good coach in Adrian Griffin, okay, cool, you fired him, but you a lazy hire in Doc Rivers. Like, there was a reason why he wasn't hired after he got fired from the Philadelphia 76ers by anybody else. There's a reason why he went to ESPN. He didn't think he was going to get another coaching job. All right, that was Wild Takes Wednesday. Tell me what you think. I really want to hear you guys' feedback on this. Really been working, just crafting for, new segments and everything. Last thing I'm going to talk about today, we got a few more things to talk about. Two more things to talk about today. Obviously, I was going to get to this, but I didn't want it to make it a fastest 180 because this isn't something you speed up on. This is something that we talk about, we discourse about. And I wanted to talk about the whole, on Saturday, there was some news in the morning, Saturday morning. Major League Baseball got hit with some of the worst injury news in recent memory. Cleveland Guardians announced their ace pitcher Shane Bieber was out for the season. He needed Tommy John surgery. We talked about him here on the GameTime Gazette. Bieber opened up the year with 2 terrific outings and didn't appear to be in pain. He had 20 strikeouts. He had no hits like in his 2 outings, and the news came out of nowhere. When it popped up on my iPhone, it came out of nowhere. Obviously, I'm keeping up with this news for you guys, the GameTime Gazette and everything, and obviously I'm tuned in, right? But it came out of nowhere. He spent his offseason working on adding extra velocity, throwing with velocity and sharpening his secondary pitches. The speculation for this whole Tommy John surgery is just the whole. Let's just get into it as well, because as the Bieber news broke, the baseball world was already awaiting MRI results on the right elbow of Atlanta Brewers ace, Spencer Strider. He was roughed up in his Friday start, pitching with diminished velocity, and he was citing elbow pain afterward. Later in that Saturday afternoon, the Braves manager, Brian Stinkner, told assembled media that the MRI wasn't good and Strider could be headed for a second Tommy John surgery. Sunday morning again, steady. And this is why I kind of wanted to wait off on it as well, just to get all the news. But Sunday morning again, we got another news of promising young Marlins star Eroy Perez, and he underwent Tommy John surgery. And for those that don't know, Tommy John surgery is a surgery that reconstructs the UCL in a pitcher's throwing arm. So that's the obviously Tommy John surgery is named over Tommy John. I feel like the first ever to get it done, but the UCL in the pitcher's throwing arm. This is like the most important. Like back in the day, like if they tore it, the UCL or whatever, it's like their career's over. But now they get the Tommy John surgery. Even back in the day, like 2010s, early 2000s, they get this Tommy John surgery. They never come back the same. Obviously, medicine's better now. You come back a little bit better than you would back in the day, right? But they're just fixing that UCL in the pitcher's throwing elbow, and the hits kept on coming. I waited a little bit more. Monday eclipsed Tuesday. We obviously talked a lot about college basketball, and on Tuesday, Boston's Nick Pavelta and Washington's Josiah Gray were placed on the IL with flexor strains, and Houston's Fran Valdez hit the IL with elbow inflammation. Too many. It seems like the sky is falling on major leagues pitchers and their elbows. It's crazy. It comes out of nowhere. And the usual suspects are being cited, like the increased high pitch velocity, and often, the max effort deliveries. We've seen it, the 100-mile-an-hour pitches, 95. That is a strain on not only the shoulder, but the elbow, the whole throwing arm. Obviously, you could imagine how much power they're putting behind their arm, behind the elbow, to get that ball to go 95, 100. And the increased velocity, increased max effort has been, the suspect for years in baseball world that they, cite to, where it's like, oh, that's why they got the, the UCL strain or the UCL tear, because hey, they were going too hard on it. You could imagine how you could, how that motion could go, just throw, boom, rip way too hard on it. And after an MLB pitcher, starting pitcher would go, ideally you want him to go 6 innings. 6-7 innings. You want him to throw 80, 90 pitches, 100 max. 110 max. What, like, it's 100 max. If he's throwing 100 this early in the season, it's a lot. But you want him to throw ideally 60 to 70 pitches, go 7 innings. 75, 80, 60, 70, around there, And that's a lot, though. That's still a lot. That's a lot of 30 of those, 40, 50 of those are 90 mile per hour. It's a lot of strain on the arms, right? There's concern that year-round throwing and velocity building programs place too much stress on arms. Those issues extend down to the youth level. The Major League Baseball Players Association, they also released a statement outlining its concerns about the pitch clock, which debuted last year and was trimmed for this season. The PA doesn't believe that the impact of reduced time between pitches has been properly studied. Some believe policing of sticky stuff places more stress on pitchers' joints as they try to grip the ball effectively. There are certainly more stresses in the modern game that likely contribute to injury, but the truth is that while the throwing in spring is bad for the elbows injuries, it's always been this way in recent years. It's even though it's been bad recently, it's always been bad. Like, that's baseball, right? Like, just that strain on your arm. I put in that sticky stuff part because I even heard an MLB pitcher talking about it. I forget who, but talking about, hey man, they policed, because remember last year, all these baseball fans, you guys would remember, they policed on the sticky stuff so hard that they kind of MLB pitchers aren't even able to use it, right? Because obviously the advantage that the league thinks that it gives the pitchers this and that, but the sticky stuff helps the pitchers really have less stress on their arms. After you see the sticky stuff taken out, we're seeing these injuries rise again as well. That's what pitchers are saying. That's what pitchers and players are saying. I was watching an interview, I forget who as well, so I apologize about that. But it was just essentially saying that, without the sticky stuff, the stress is even more than it is. The sticky stuff really helped a lot of these great pitchers stay great for a longer period of time because, it helps them reduce the stress in their arms, having a better grip of the ball and everything like that they don't have to go, max effort, max velocity every single pitch. I don't really understand the schematics behind the whole sticky stuff, so I apologize there as well. But I believe that's the whole thing, the advantage of you don't have to throw your max hardest pitch, but it could still get there as because your grip on the ball is just great. You don't have to it doesn't need that extra effort because the sticky stuff is basically the extra effort. If that makes any sense, I hope I'm explaining it correctly. But it's been a just whirlwind of news for the MLB in these last few days. I mean, these pitchers are taking it. Spencer Strider, we're talking Shane Bieber, we're talking some of the best in the league, man. Out for the season, may potentially, hopefully not, suspected. Obviously, Shane Bieber getting Tommy John surgery, yeah, he's out for the season, which sucks. It really does stink. Last thing I wanted to hit on today was just UCL football. We're talking, last night we had some absolute cinema. We're talking absolute cinema. You know what I mean? Absolute cinema, man. It started first 15 minutes in that Real Madrid game, 2-1. One goal in, first minute and a half. Bernardo Silva comes curl from the free kick. tricks the keeper, boom, scores 1-0. Man City. Crazy. I'm like, what? I put my head down 1 second and the next second, 1-0 Man City. Crazy. Bernardo Silva, the Madrid killer. And then you seen at the end of it all, like 5 minutes later, Madrid link up. Boom, all the way to the other side of the field. 2-1-1. Rodrigo gets the ball into the back of the net like a madman. Crazy. And then, no, wait, was it Rodrigo that scored the first goal? Let me check it out again as well. I don't believe it was Rodrigo that scored the first goal. Let's see this. Yeah, no, Ruben Diaz. They counted it as a Ruben Diaz own goal for the first goal. Oh, yeah, because it was, right? It was kind of the flick off Ruben Diaz into the back of the net, right? And then, yeah, 14 minutes, like a few minutes later, not even 14 minutes later, like a few minutes later, because that goal happened in the 12th minute. 2 minutes later, seen Rodrigo get another opportunity, 2-1. Bro, on the Arsenal game, you seen Saka open up the scoring 1-0 out of nowhere. And then like 5 minutes, 6 minutes later, Bayern gets another opportunity. Serge Gnabry 1-1. And then Bayern gets another opportunity before the half, gets a penalty. Who else but Harry Kane? Nice and easy into the right side of the net right there. 2-1. Going into the half, both English teams had the lead for like 10 minutes and then lost it. And then went down a goal. It was crazy still. It was absolute cinema. That is what the Champions League is all about. We seen the game end. Obviously, Phil Foden's goals, magnifique. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to put it up right here. Especially if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see it right here. Magnifique. And then the Gravity all goal, oh, magnifique right here. I'm going to put it right here too. It was just two great back-to-back goals there from City. Obviously, Fede Valverde's goal, it was all right. Rodrigo's goal, that was all right. That was mid. But them 2 goals there by Phil Foden and Gravidol, those just some goals. And hey, I'm not even a Man City fan, but hey, fuck Madrid, man. Man, bun them guys, man. Yeah. And today we got Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund. Hopefully we get another barn burner here tonight. Everyone was saying we got the elite ones yesterday and the good ones today, but I don't believe that, man. This is the Champions League. This is the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and all the teams understand what is at stake. Barcelona versus PSG. You're talking the clash of the Titans. As much as people want to diss and that, we're seeing Mbappe go up against Barcelona. We're going to see a good one here tonight, and I'm excited. I am just revved up and ready to go. I'll be here tomorrow. This week, as I said, I'll be here every day this week before we go into that new schedule next week. But this week, I'll be here tomorrow breaking down everything that happened in the NBA world. Got still a lot of NBA basketball today. Still got a lot of MLB. Probably won't be breaking down. There's a long season in MLB. I break down news. I break down when good games happen and stuff like that. Hey, if a good game happens tonight, I'll break it down tomorrow here on the GameTime Gazette, NHL as well. Definitely going to get some touches on that. This is going to be a fun end of the week. And watch out for that UFC 300 preview as well coming out. And I still need to get my NBA awards video out there. So we got a lot of content coming your way. So make sure to subscribe and make sure to follow me on all social media on the GameTime Gazette or the GTG Podcast HQ to keep up with all the news, and whenever a new video drops, you'll know. This has been your host, Isaiah Aneni, and as always, I've enjoyed talking with you guys here tonight. Let's get it. Jesus loves you. I love you. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Let's make the world a better place, man. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.